Tes. Oke, kembali lagi kita untuk kali ini yang kedua yaitu mock test untuk reading. Kita klik ininya langsung take test. Mock test ini total kurang lebih 60 menit. Dan kita harus ada 3 paragraf yang harus kita jawab. Reading passage 1, 2, dan 3. Ini soalnya kita dumps dan ini section 1 semuanya berdasarkan tulisan dari sini ada section sampai 5 sections. The dams that changes Australia. The dam that changes Australia. Ini section 1. Bicara tentang apa? Inland Australia has had a problem with drought. Ini kekeringan from the time of white settlement and 1788 until today, and this is why the Snowy Mountain scheme was confused and founded. Before the Snowy scheme, a large proportion of the snowfield on Australia's highest mountain, the Snowy Mountain, melt into the Snowy River every year. Hence, kebalikannya, selain daripada itu, the Snowy River water flowed ultimately into the sea northward to the dry interior of the country, where people needed it so desperately. This was first recognized by the Polish geologist and explorer Straczynski in 1840, who commented that there could be no development of the inland without adequate water supply. The river would have to diverted if irrigations were to succeed. Kita lihat untuk yang section 1. Untuk section 1, pembahasannya tentang apa? Section 1 before. Ini. Oke, ini lebih ke cerita sejarah. Nah, the scheme set out to do this, and the first this was using ini bukan, the worker bukan, development ini hampir ya bisa jadi, the cost, the unique, also knowing why, learning way bukan, recruiting, social problem, di sini nggak ada social problem. Ini kita eliminate 7 dan 3 kemungkinan. Antara development ini kita tidak bicara development, yang ada juga bicara tentang sejarah. Di sini tidak menginformasikan ada the history of, berarti ini bisa jadi ini. Why the Snowy Mountain scheme began. Ini 7. Kita baca section kedua. Section kedua itu, the Snowy Mountain scheme was to alter the face of Australia forever. One important change that the recruitment of people from outside Australia to work on the scheme in 1949, while the world was still recovering from the effect of World War II. 1939 to 1945, the Australian government needed immense number of people to work on the Snowy. It should labor from overseas, and 60,000 of the 100,000 people who work on the scheme came from outside the country. Oke, langsung kita lihat ininya. Using bukan, dia tidak bicara using the worker, bukan development, bukan, ini bisa jadi ini dia bicara tentang worker yang moving. The cost bukan, tidak bicara cost, unique scheme bukan, housing bukan, ini sudah diambil. Kita tandain ini kalau sudah diambil. Oh, nggak bisa. Learning new way to communicate bukan, ini bisa jadi nih recruiting people, the Snowy Mountain scheme. Oke, section 3 kita bahas Many new arrivals spoke only limited English and were offered English classes after work. The men needed primarily to understand safely instruction and safety lecture were conducted in English and other language. In fact, a great deal of communication underground was by sign language, especially when the conditions were noisy. The signs were peculiar to the business at hand. For instance, the term placed near the mouth meant water but did not indicate whether the water was needed on the drill the man was using for a drink. The constant referrer, oke, kita lihat. Dia hanya bicara tentang instruksi, terus in English, dan dia bicara di communications dan design. Dia bicara tentang sign. Oke, ini bisa jadi nih using sign. Tapi using sign adalah salah satu part dari paragrafnya. Worker bukan, development bukan, cost bukan, unique bukan, ini bukan. Ini bukan, ya ini bisa jadi learning new way to communicate. 8. Section 4. Section 4. The circumstance could have caused the great social trouble, but there were relatively few serious problems. The men worked long and hard, and many saved their money with a few to settling in Australia or returning home. At the reunion in 1999, many were happy to remember the hardship of this day. Hardship. But it was all seen through a glow of achievement. The satisfaction was felt not only by men who worked directly on the project but by the women, many of whom had been wives and mothers during the scheme, and indicate that they had felt very much part of it. The children of this couple went to school in Happy Jack. Happy Jack, the town notable for having the high school in Australia and the highest birth rate. In one memorable year, there were 30 babies born to 80 family in Happy Jack. All the children went to school in Kuma, the nearest major town. Kuma itu nama kota, the nearest major town. Ini dia bicara tentang pendidikan dan reunion kondisi. Kita using sign bukan, worker ini bisa jadi. Development bukan, cost bukan, unique nature dia tidak bicara unique nature, housing snowy bisa jadi, why ini udah diambil, recruiting udah diambil, social problem, worker and social problem ini bisa jadi. Tapi karena dia bicara tentang family-nya, kita ngambil yang kedua karena ini bicara tentang worker and family. Section 5. The scheme is very unlikely to be repeated. The expense of putting the power station underground would now be prohibited, and our current information about ecology would require a different approach to the treatment of the river. Other hydroelectronic schemes like the Thames Valley Authority precede the Snowy Mountain scheme, and others have followed. The Snowy Mountain scheme is the only hydroelectronic scheme in the world be totally financed from the sale of its electricity. As well as being a great engineering feat, the scheme is monument to people from around the world who dare to change their life. Some are living and working in Australia, many have retired there, some have returned to their country of origin. Every one of them contribute to altering Australia's society forever. Ini bicara tentang society dan reunion. Nature of scheme. Scheme very repeated. Very unlikely. Sign bukan, worker bukan, development bukan, ini bukan. Bisa jadi housing snowy workforce bisa jadi. Why sudah diambil dan why sudah dimention atau social problem. Dia tidak bicara social problem. Ini bisa jadi unique nature karena itu ada unlikely repeated. Berarti ini 5. Oke, selanjutnya 1788 white settlement begin. 1788 1840 awareness that the blah 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 could not be developed without irrigations. Without irrigation, it's mean it is inland. 1901 federations. Question 2. Question 2. Dispute when the 1947. Premier Conference. Ini dia deadlock. Setelah 1947 itu dia berarti ini 1949 sebelum 54. Selanjutnya recruiting of yang dari operasi 60.000, yang dari luarnya 100.000, yang dari outside country. Terus 54 work and power station begin. Nomor 10 turn off station complete. Nomor 10 scheme activity Ribble 16 Mayor Haysesti offer 19 period 19 years. Berarti dari 1954 ditambah 19 tahun 1973. Oke, selanjutnya communication using ini tadi dibahas bahwa itu communication sign language. The work remains about the ini yang tadi yang bicara tentang hardship. Di mana dia? Section 2. Salah. 12. Section 4. Nah, ini dia. S. Hardship. Ber-13, the Snowy Mountain scheme was considered altered society thereafter. 13. 5. From around the world, there's someone living every one of that contributed in it. Considered on it be greeting engineering fit. Okay, udah semua sign language is 60.000 deadlock. 7 untuk angka daripada salah titik atau koma kita biarkan aja seperti ini 60.000. Next, passage 2. Passage 2 berarti soal nomor 14. Power from the earth. Geothermal power refer to the generation of electricity making. Oke, kita lihat soalnya. The history of development geothermal power. Nomor 14. Kita lihat ini A, B, C, D. Oke, the history of yang bicara tentang tahun ada di E. Ini history. One country use of geothermal power. One country, okay, one country. Too costly, ini bicara cost. Another country. Shell power, one dimension risk. Japan. Lihat. Lalu 16, the comparison between various energy sources. Use various energy sources. More efficient than solar power. Berarti ini how geothermal energy can produce electricity. Carbon dioxide. Nah, ini. S. K ini C. Condition which permit access to geothermal. Kondisi accessible. Visible accessible. Berarti ini ya. Kondisi yang memungkinkan accessible. Berarti di B. Problem of geothermal explorations. Amount of risk involved. Ini G. Kita next ke yes. Jika statement sesuai yang disampaikan penulis, view penulis, no berarti kontradiktif, tidak sesuai, not given berarti tidak ada di tulisan itu. Accessible geothermal depth less than 3 km ini no. Karena itu di antara 1 sampai dengan 3. Ada tapi ada tulisannya tapi tidak sesuai. The generation of geothermal power produce a considerable amount of byproduct that can be damaging to the environment. Itu juga no, karena bisa jadi karena tidak sesuai dengan damaging environment jika dilakukan dengan amount byproduct. No. Geothermal energy still relative expensive, low generate. Oh bukan, ini the World Geothermal Congress has been raise money from this area. Tidak disampaikan, tidak ada pembahasannya. Geothermal energy is relative expensive, low generate, yes. It can be decade developing a geothermal power station. Yes, membutuhkan waktu yang lama. Japan is capable generating 1/4 of energy. Disebutkan di sini Japan. Has long considered resource poor nation, hanya 10%. Jadi Japan aja hanya 10%. Jadi ini nomor 25 itu jawabannya tidak, karena tidak sesuai. The future of geothermal depend upon the decline of fossil resources. Ini not given, karena tidak disampaikan. Oke, next ke reading passage 3. Are we managing destroy science? Langsung lihat ke soalnya jawabannya no more one word. Jadi hanya satu kata. In UK, every 5 years there is an assessment exercise inspect research institution to determine the rate of kita lihat 27. Government understands production to increase productivity. The rate of productivity. This tend to cause academic institution already preparing for with some anxiety. Academic institution because any failure would lead to severe itu berat. Financial consequences raise power, however, it's to increase the academic output within research institutions in response to commercial increasing. Ini ada di atas ini nih. Right, the research institutions are changing the way they do things. Some are forcing their research staff to publish or moving, diverting one. To focus that management. Another common approach utilized by management is to remove and by remove and research and replace. Underperforming research staff. The author of this paper feel the pressure between institutions is untuk semester maybe pun they are unsustainable. Tiga puluh lima sampai 38. Good researchers are usually prolific publisher. Prolific publisher itu berarti yang terpercaya. Produktif. True. Nomor 35. True atau bukan? Good researchers are usually prolific. Good researchers itu biasanya publisher yang produktif. Belum tentu. False. 35. People in industry seem to understand long-term nature of research. True. The private sector has produced more in the way of quality research than university. Not given, tidak disampaikan. 38. Management may be the only winner under the new system. True. Okay, choose the appropriate letter A, B, C, or D. Write your answer in the box 39 to 40 on your answer sheet. The republishing record of senior researchers would hinder the electronic prospect, prevent from employing, bukan rule their change, support the applicant, bisa jadi itu posting under present criteria, hinder the under the current criteria, hinder its mean dan menghalangi. Senior researchers biasanya menghalangi academic prospect under the current criteria. Gifted new scientists need to be supported with resources. Decade establishes the research. Well, kita cek lagi, lah semua belum? DPT, anxiety, noti 27. Severe pressures, pakai pressures. Pressure, S-nya double. Pastikan juga spellingnya. Pressure publish betul, font-nya pakai S. Replace-nya biasa, unsustainable-nya biasa. Oke, sudah kita submit. Review and answer. Submit dan review answer. Oke, well done. Untuk skor di reading kita bagus sesuai dengan teks. Recording saya off.